Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Mantra of Azure. In this episode, we are going to discuss Azure file storage. Friends, in our previous episode, we had a discussion on Azure storage account in depth. We got to know that there are four types of Azure storage accounts, and one is blob storage, and we have file storage. The third one is queues, and fourth one is the table. In our previous episode, along with the storage account, we had a discussion on blob storage as part of one of the storage services. We had gone through multiple demos to create and manage blob storage through Azure Portal and programmatically through PowerShell, .NET, and REST API as well. So now in this episode, we are going to dive into Azure File Services of Azure Storage. So we are going to cover this episode with five topics. So we are going to first understand what is Azure File in detail, and then I'll be showing a demo how to create and manage Azure files using Azure Portal, and also how to create and manage by using PowerShell dynamically. Then I'll be showing you another demo where you can access Azure files from your local system's file explorer. Then I'll be showing you another demo where I will be creating and managing Azure files using .NET SDK dynamically. Then we'll have a useful discussion on key benefits of Azure files. So let's get started. So friends, Azure Files provide a cloud storage service that can sync with your on-premises infrastructure over SMB protocol. For example, if you want to access Azure Files, you can use your File Explorer to access Azure Files based on your permission level. It will look like you are accessing your own machine's files, but actually you are working with Azure Files cloud storage. Azure File Service is useful when organizations want to maintain their data access system across the shared network for their employees as it is. But instead of using any physical file server or storage server, they'll be using or they want to use like cloud storage. So in such scenarios, Azure File is very powerful like approach or very powerful solution to solve it. So let's understand it a little better with this diagram. So if you come to this diagram, we have a top box. So in the top box, we represents the Azure files. So in the Azure files, I have two shares, file shares. So file shares are nothing but the logical grouping of your folders and files. So for example, if you want to give access a particular set of files and folders to a particular department or set of group of users, then you have to create a file share for it. So for example, if you have two departments in your organization and you want to give a specific files and folder to finance department, then you have to create a finance department file share in Azure Files, and similar to IT department as well. Then these Azure files can be accessed from local machines. So Azure Files provide three OS platform currently to access Azure files from the local system. One is by using your Windows OS. So if you are a Windows user, you can use your File Explorer and you can connect to Azure Files, and seamlessly you can sync up your Azure files from cloud to your local by using SMB protocol. So if you are using Mac or Linux, you can do the same thing as well. So only the thing is you have to access Azure files over SMB protocol. It's nothing but your, like when you are accessing network node, this protocol works. So in the same way, you can access Azure files, and all files folders from cloud will be seamlessly synchronized with your local machine so that you can manage it. So if you talk about why we should choose the Azure file, we have like three very powerful points that we can consider while choosing Azure files. So first one is the replacing or supplement on-premises file server. So when your organization want to replace or supplement on-premises file server by cloud storage, then Azure file is very helpful for that. It's very powerful, super powerful tool for that. Suppose your organization is already using a file server on its own infrastructure and sharing files to their employees, and now they suddenly decided to migrate to migrate to cloud, then I would recommend the Azure file is the one of the best option to go for. So in this case, you can choose this. Like your entire on-premises file server can be like migrated to Azure without any uh, issues. So the second one is the lift and shift application. Suppose your application use your on-premises file server for input-output operations, and you are afraid of replacing your file server to Azure file. For example, suppose your application is there, and like you are afraid if you are migrating your local file server to Azure files, then maybe your application won't work. You need to refactor your code. So that kind of thinking if you have, then I would suggest don't worry, your application will work as expected even you replace your file server by Azure file, because you can access Azure file by file system logic as well. So file system logic, the existing file system logic that you have written for your application will definitely work even if you migrate to Azure file. Then we have another approach option called simplify cloud development. So when you use Azure files, your application is ready to work with cloud resources without impacting your classical file system management system. And since you are using Azure file and your like cloud file server, you get so many cloud flavors along with these services. For example, file system diagnostic will be maintained on Azure, your Azure file system diagnostic, so that you can monitor it in very advanced and effective and efficient way. So let's create and manage Azure files using Azure Portal and PowerShell. So at the first step, let's go to the Azure Portal and create and manage Azure files. So friends, as I mentioned, blob storage, file storage, queues, and tables. These are the storage resources. So whenever you are going to create these four services, you have to create a storage account in your Azure subscription. So I have already created a storage account. So if you want to know more about storage account, you can refer our previous episode, which is episode 9. There I have explained the storage account in detail and also blob storage. So I will skip that storage account options part in this episode. I'll focus on the file storage today. So I have selected the storage account. I have already created it. So I'm using the Azure Portal approach to create and manage file storage. So we have an option here called file storage. Just click on it. When you select the storage, you'll get that option. So here you have to create a file share. So if you go back to the option here, I have mentioned that file share is nothing but a logical grouping of your folders and files. If you want to isolate your group of users to access a set of like files and folders, you can create a share for it. So we call it as a drive when you talk about on-premises perspective. So drive, we have a C drive, D drive, E drive. Similarly, in the when you are talking about the cloud stops, then you call it as a file share. So let's create a file share here. So let me create a file share called IT department. So I will assign this file share to the IT department. So whatever files and folders I'm going to keep in this file share will be dedicated to the IT department. So here I have to mention the quota, I mean the size of the file share. So what is the maximum that I'm going to keep in this storage? I have to mention that in the quota field. So for now, I'll be mentioning 1 GB GIB. So I've created one file share, or you can say it's a drive in the Azure files, and I'll create another file storage called finance. I'll give 2 GIB here. Then I will upload some files and create some folders inside this Azure files. So let me create a folder. So let me add a directory and we'll give a folder called um, like financial year 2020. This is the finance department, and here I will be uploading a blog. I'm sorry, Azure file. So I'll click on upload, and from here you select the file that you want to upload. So I'll be selecting this one. So this is a straightforward way of uploading and creating directory and all. So I have already done that in the blog in my previous episode. So you no need to explain more here because this is a straightforward approach. So in the one folder, I created one file, and you can upload a number of files here until unless it like matches your maximum quota. So this is how you can create, and you can delete from here if you want to edit the quota of this file share, or you can say the drive, the quota of the drive you can also change here. Okay, so now we learned how to create and manage the the file share and the folders and the upload files using Azure Portal. So let's go to the PowerShell and do exactly same thing by using the PowerShell codes. So let me open the PowerShell ICE in administrator mode. So I have already written the command, so I won't write it again. So I'll just copy the file. I'll be reusing it. Okay, so all the commands I have mentioned here is the AJ module. So if you haven't installed the AJ module on your machine, you install AJ module like this in module AJ. So I have already installed it, so I won't install it anymore. So I'll just import it. That means after importing this module, I will have access to all the commands in that module. So now the thing is, you have to create a context of the Azure, because if you don't create any context to your storage account, then your subsequent commands will fail, because you have to go to a session, storage session, so that you can work on that session, work on the storage account in that session. You can create, manage, delete, you can do anything you want, but you have to first enter into a session of the storage account. So this is the, for that you need to create a context. So to create a context, this is the command, edge storage context. I have all in my previous episode I have given, there are many ways to create context, different approach. So I have already I had already shared that PowerShell in the episode 9 description section, so you can also check that. So here I'm just creating a session. So here you have to provide the storage account name, and here you have to provide the account key. So to generate account key, go to select the storage account, go to access key, and copy the key 1 or key 2, either key 1 or key 2 you can copy. So let me copy the key 1 and paste here. So I have already copied. So let me create the context. So now I enter into the session of the storage account that I have specified here, so that I can work on that storage account. So first option is, let me create a file share inside this storage account. So currently I have, if you look at the portal, we have only 2 file share. So let me create another file share with the name of demo organization. So let me assign this variable, and this is the command that you can use to create file share. The command name is edge storage share. So, and here you provide the name of the file share, and here's the context. So it has been created. So let me check on the portal if it is really created or not. Yeah, demo organization has been created. So then you can create a directory in that file share as well. So the directory name would be for my folder 1. Context you have to always provide when you are executing the command. So I'll be sharing this like PowerShell script in the video description. You can always use it. So I have created a folder called my folder. So just to refresh it, and my folder has been created, and there is no file inside it. So let me first, in order to get all the list of files in a specified folder, you can use this command, edge storage file, and you just select it and execute. There is no such for file. We have only length is one folder is there, no files inside that. So now I'm going to upload a file. So uh, to upload, you have to write edge storage file content, because you are working with file, and mention the context and the session object, and then you have to mention the share name, which file share you want to upload your file, and mention the local file that you want to upload, and then mention the path where you want to upload. So I just uploaded one blob. Now let me check. Yeah, the sorry, not blob, file. So files sample blob1.txt. This is a file I uploaded it. So yeah, so then if you want to download, you can use this command to download. Just mention the folder path of your file share, and then download it to this sample blob one, the or sample file. Let me write sample file download. Okay, this is the local name that will have after downloading. Okay, let me check my local drive if it is downloaded or not. Yeah, sample file downloaded has been downloaded. So then this is how you can upload file and create directory and download as well. There is one more command here called start edge storage file copy. So if you want to copy your like file from one file share to another file share in the same storage account, then you can do. But if your storage account is in different area, different location, and you want to copy one file from one file storage to another file share of another storage account, you can also do that. So what you have to mention here is, first command you pass the context of the source file storage. So here we have created one file storage, the context, so pass that. And then what you have to do is you have to pass the second, the context of the destination file storage. So here you have to create another file storage context of that account. Suppose here you have another storage account, and here you provide the key, and it will create a second context. So you pass this variable here, so that it will connect to both the storage account. Then here you pass the source share name and the destination share name here, and this is the path that you want to copy. So then we have a remove a single file from file share. If you want to remove a single file, you can always use this command. If you want to remove all, then you can also remove that. So these are the commands I'll be sharing in the video description. You can always refer it. So I'm just skipping and going to the next step. So next step is the snapshot. So let me go to the Azure portal over here. So in the Azure portal, we have if you select a file share, we have an option called snapshot. So what is this? So suppose I take a snapshot or take a picture of the current time of the one of this file share, and tomorrow someone has deleted the one file or folder from my original file share. Then if I want to revert or restore back my deleted files, then I can use that snapshot that I had taken one day before. So snapshot is nothing but the taking the image of the file share at a particular point of time. So till now, if I am taking snapshot now, then whatever files folders I have in the file share currently will be taken as an image, so that tomorrow if anything deleted, then I can restore that. So we have an option here. If you select the the file share and go to snapshot, let me do that and add a snapshot. So now at this point of time, I took an image or a snapshot. I mean, I have one folder and one file. So this has been taken now. So now I'll be deleting one file from that sample, my folder. So I have deleted. So now I am worried that my file has been deleted and I want to restore it. So I'll go to the snapshot and select the snapshot that I had taken, and I'll select this one, the folder, and whatever file I want to restore, I'll just select it and restore it. Just give a new name to that, file1.txt. Okay, sample file1.txt has been restored. So this creating some snapshots and restoring can also be done by using PowerShell command. So let me go to the PowerShell. So here you can create a snapshot of your storage account at particular time period. So you can execute it and it will take a snapshot. And if you want to see how many snapshot you have currently, you can use this command. I have 2 snapshot now. And if you want to see a the content of that snapshot, like if you want to see how many folders or files I have in that context, you can use this command always. You can see one folder we have here. So then this is the command that you can write to restore your file. Suppose you deleted something and here you have to provide the snapshot name, and then the same is the eject storage file copy command. This command is also used to copy one file from one file set to another. The same command can also be used to restore it. So here, instead of providing the context, you have to provide the snapshot and then the destination context, and this is the source path. I mean, this is the path of your like snapshot file, and this is the destination path, share name, destination share name, and here you provide the destination path. So if you execute it, it will restore it, and this command will remove the snapshot. So I'll be sharing all this in the video description. You can refer it. So I'm not going through each and every line of execution. So I'll just skip it and we'll move next. So we learned how to create file share using Portal, and we also learned how to create and manage file share using PowerShell. So now let's use an Azure file share with Windows. Now in this session, we are going to access Azure files from our local machine. So let me let me go to my local machine and access the Azure files. So this is my local machine. So I want to use file storage from my local machine, file explorer way. So go to let me open the PowerShell here in administrator mode. So as I mentioned, first test your SMB connection. So you have to use a PowerShell script to set up a credential on your local machine so that you can access the Azure files. So first here I am logging with my storage, my service principal to the Azure account. So you can use directly connect hyphen AJ account to login if you want to provide your login password for that. But here I'm logging with service principal of my account. You can skip that part, no issue. I'll be showing you another approach of logging. So just write connect AJ account. So I will log in with my Azure credential, because now we are going to work with a storage Azure file. So we need to access our Azure. Yeah, we have logged in into our Azure account. So I'll be sharing this command, no worries. So now what we are going to do is we are going to check if we are able to access the Azure files from this local machines or not. Because friends, as I mentioned that we need a SMB protocol to access Azure files from our local machine in this diagram. So SMB protocol is always run on 445 port. So we will check if our 445 port is open in our machine and ready to access the Azure files or not. If not, then we'll do some extra configuration. So here what you have to do is you have to provide the resource group name and storage account name. So let me copy my storage account name that I want to access. Just copy it and paste over here so that we can reuse this variable later in the script. So then in this, you get your storage account, and then here you check if your 445 port, I mean SMB protocol, is workable here or not. So just provide this and test net connection. You should ping your storage account environment. Yeah, it top TCP test succeeded. That means in my like local machine, I'll be able to access the Azure files to my file explorer. So then what we have to do is we have to generate a key of our storage account so that we can configure that key in this local machine to access Azure files. So for that, what we have to do is we have to generate a key through PowerShell. If not, if you don't want to generate key from PowerShell, then you can always select the storage account, and from here you can copy the key and paste here. Here you have to paste. So for now, since we are automating the steps, so let me create one storage account from the PowerShell code. Okay, then here, then it generates the key, and if you look at the key, let me select this uh, variable. Yeah, this is the key. This has been generated. So let me save this key in my local uh, account so that I'll be able to access my Azure file. Credential added successfully. So let me check if my credential has been added or not. Yeah, Azure episode storage has been added, so that next time when I will access the Azure file, I don't need to provide any credential. If I select manually, then I'll have to provide. So we learned how to test connection and configure credential in our local in order to work on SMB port protocol to access Azure files. So now the time is to use the file explorer to access the Azure files. So there are two approaches that you can use to access Azure files from your file explorer. So let's do manually first. Go to your file explorer, this PC, go to this PC, select this PC. And from here, if you select map network DAP, you will get an option called map network drive. So select it and mention your drive that you want to mount. This process is called mounting process. So what we are doing is, as I mentioned before, that file share is nothing but the drive in the on-premises perspective. So these are the file drives. So I want to map or mount this finance department with my local machine on my local machine. Then what I have to do here is I have to give a drive name. Then here I have to provide the that URL of the file share. So the URL would be like this. Let me get the URL from somewhere else. So there is a format of file share. So this is the format. So this is the name of your storage account first, and the second is file.core.windows.net. Then one another slash, and then you provide your like file share that you want to mount with your machine. So just select the IT. If I want to map, so let me map the demo organization because we have a one file and folder over here. So let me call demo organization, and let me paste here. So this is the file share that I want to access. So if you look at this option, we have a reconnect at sign in. So if you check this option, uh, whatever credential you have set it here, you have set it here by using invoke expression. Always your Windows will take credential from uh, that, and it will connect you or log in you to the Azure storage. If you want to give manually a different credential, you can select this connect using different credential. So if you select connect using different credential, then you have to provide the username and password. Username will always be like this, Azure slash your storage account name, and the password will be the key that you have generated. Either you can copy that from portal or you can generate from PowerShell. So we don't need to provide manually. Let's system take the credential from there and login us to the Azure files. So just click on finish. It will be Z drive. It will be mount to the Z drive. So it's attempting to connect to this. It has been done. So if we look at the this one, this drive has been mounted from network location, and this is working on SMB protocol and 445 port. Yeah, this is the Z drive, and here we have a my folder one. Under that we have a sample file one. So if you, so this has been copied. So you can use this Azure file. This is the Azure files. So you can use Azure files like how you are working on your local files system. So let me copy one files from my this one. So let me copy this and I will paste here in the directly here. So now the files that I have kept in this demo organization Z drive will be visible on the portal also. So let me go to the portal and check selected demo organization. I can see the files that I have uploaded. So this is seamlessly synchronized. As I mentioned before, you can seamlessly synchronize your cloud files, cloud storage with your local system. So this is synchronized. So this is how you can easily manage Azure files. So this is the manual way of like mounting your file share to your local system. But there is also a PowerShell code that you can use to automatically do that. So let me copy that code. So then, yeah, let me open another window. Sorry. Okay, so here you have to specify the storage account name and all that because you need to access your storage account. Okay, so let me disconnect this one so that we can, without an issue, we can test it. Okay, so then you provide the file share name. So last time we synchronized the demo organization. Let's synchronize finance department now. In the finance department, and I'll give a drive called W. Okay, so now I will execute all this command to get the storage account and also to configure that. So I'll be sharing this code also. Yeah, it has been done. So if you go back here, you can see the finance department has been mounted. So if I select it, I can have financial year 2020, which I have created manually. If you see under that, I have one sample.json. Under that, I have sample.json. So we have a PowerShell code to automate and also manually we can do. So now we learned how to test SMB connection with against a storage account and check if our machine is open for 445 port and ready to connect with Azure files. And once done, then we learned how to store file share credential on machines for current users. And then like we say, store the credential of storage account. For that, our system will always use that credential to work with Azure files. Then we also learned the how to mount the Azure file share with PowerShell by using automated PowerShell code. And then we learned by manually. And we just missed one step, which is storing file share credential for other users. We learned that the current user can use that credential that we stored in our local machine to use Azure files. Now we will learn how to set up the credential for other users as well. So let's go back to the look that PowerShell. So I have one more set of PowerShell code. So let me go here. So in this we had saved our credential. So if you want to set credential for other users, so here you mention this is the command. So I will write it, set credentials for other users. Okay, so then here you provide the password of the user, and then here you provide the username of the password. This is the local AD username and password. It's not Azure username or password. So this is how you can and you provide it and execute it so that the user will get that credential and store in the machine so that that user can access Azure file and use the file explorer to access and manage Azure files. So I'll be sharing this code also. So now let's move next. So the next step is how to create and manage Azure file dynamically by using .NET SDK. So now we'll go to the .NET code and try to create and manage Azure files dynamically. So let me go to the project. So let me open the one Visual Studio file. I've already created a project, so I will not create a fresh new. I'll just open that project. So this is the project. I had already said this project in my previous episode, but today here I added one more file called my file share. So here I have kept all the like coding related to Azure files. So friends, as I mentioned before, that you can authenticate with Azure storage by using 4 approaches. You can use Azure AD credential, or you can use account key or connection string, or you can use SAS token, which is shared access signature, and you can also access read-only. You can have read-only access through anonymous access as well. So same thing applied to all the services of Azure. Like if it is applied to blob, then it should also apply to the file storage queue and the table. So I have already explained all the authentication in my previous episode. If you want to to that, go through that, then you can refer to that episode. I'll just show here. I won't execute, and I won't go through all the authentication over here. I'll just quickly have a like overlook on it. So here, like we are authenticating with shared key auth. Here we are passing the storage account name and the key of the account. So in this way we are authenticating. Then we are authenticating with the shared access signature SAS token. Then we are also generating a new SAS token and authenticating it. This is another way of SAS authentication. Then we are authenticating with Azure Active Directory authentication as well. So let's use one authentication from here, which is shared key auth. So here you provide the storage account name and key. I have already provided it. So if you want to copy, then in the same way, you can go to storage account and click on access key and copy the key here. Then you can provide over here. So then what we're doing here is we're creating a share from the .NET code. So here you have to create a cloud storage account instance, and then you create the cloud file client, and then you check the reference. If it is not exist, it will create a file share. If it exists, it will just keep it. Then we are creating a directory in that file share, and if it is exist, we are creating or not, or we are just leaving it. Then we are uploading a file into it. So this is the file that we are uploading, and then we are downloading by providing the relative path, and then this is the max quota. So let me go to the create a file share method and just quickly show. Okay. Yeah. So it authenticated through shared auth, because I have mentioned shared auth here. So now I'm creating a it's already there, demo organization. Let me rename it to demo organization 2. So here we have to provide demo organization 2, and it should create a new file share for me. Yeah, it has been created. So let me check my file share here. Yeah, demo organization has been created. So then you can create directory, and you can upload file in the same way. Then we have a new function I have written here called set max quota. So if you remember, we can set the quota here. While creating this file share, you have to mention, or later you can also change it. So if you want to set a max quota, you can also set by using this function. Just copy the just mention the properties object of the file share, and then set the properties. It will just update that. And then I have added one more function here called get shared key for a file. Friends, if you want to give a access to a particular file of your Azure file share for a certain time period to someone, then you can use this function. You can generate a like a URL and just share that URL to that person, and he or she can use that for a particular time period to download the file that you want to you shared. So what you have to do is you have to create a policy for that. So create a random policy here I'm creating, and then you mention the shared access file policy, like how many hours or how many minutes it is going to be like valid, that URL that you are generating. And then what is the permission for that? Is it a read or both read write, or whatever permission you want to give, just mention it. If you want to give more permission, you can always use like this dot. You can find more option, create, list, delete, whatever you want, you can also mention that. Then here you have to get the permission and add that permission to the file share object. Here we are adding, and then you mention the particular folder or file that you want to give the permission. So let me go to the organization one, and we have a sample folder over here, I think my folder, and sample file.txt. So let me give that, and name is sample file.txt. Okay, so I want to give access to this particular file, not the entire folder or entire file share. So then it will generate a SAS token here. You can share that token, or else you can download it. So let me put a breakpoint here so that I can generate a URL and give it to someone I want. Yeah, it has come. So URL has been generated. So let me copy that URL. Just copy it and go to the browser and hit the browser. It should download the file that you have mentioned. Okay, I think we have given a wrong name of the uh, we have given a wrong name here. So let me copy the demo organization. We have given demo organization 2. Yeah, it has been generated. So let me copy that. So let me go to browser once again and hit it. Sample file 1.txt.txt. This is not txt, only txt. Okay. So let me go to browser and hit again. Yeah, it has been downloaded. So this is having 24 hours access. After 24 hours, that URL won't work. So this is the new function I have added in the file share, and I have also mentioned the reference document that I can go through to know more about this code. And one more thing here is I have added one more file called my blob second approach. So in my previous episode, I had explained one approach of working with blob, but I have added one more file here. In the second approach, you can also work with blob. So this approach is similar to the my share approach, like file share approach. So the function like the for classes interfaces that you are using here, almost similar functions can be used in the second approach to do so. So now let's move forward. So we learned how to create and manage Azure files using .NET dynamically. So one more thing I want to explain is you can let me go to the Azure portal and open the file storage over here. So in the file storage, you can set up if you want to set your firewall rules that if you remember, I access this file share from this particular port, IP address. If you want to mention that a particular like set of IP address to access Azure file, you can always mention that over here. So I have already explained in my previous episode also. So just to restrict the IP address, you can use this option. So one more option we have here is configuration. So in the configuration, now we learned that the local user can access the Azure files or file shares and mount it. But if you want that user who are accessing or authenticating through Azure files, Azure Active Directory, they can only mount or they can only access the Azure files. That option is also here. Normally when your organization like they set up these types of policy, they set up their domain account and they set up the rules and everything so that they can manage the identity. So we have an option here. If you go to the configuration after selecting the storage account called enabled, just select it and save it. But because your Azure Active Directory domain service ADDS is not yet set up, then you cannot enable it. So first you have to set up your Azure Active Directory domain services. I mean, you have to configure your Azure Active Directory with your environment, and then you have to migrate users to here to Azure, and then you set up it. Then it will work. So it is not working now because I haven't set up this on my machine. So I'll be taking another episode sometime future. In future, we'll create all this. So for now, you learn know that there is an option to allow like Active Directory users, Azure Active Directory users, or Windows Active Directory users to access the Azure files by authenticating themselves. So let's go to the next slide. So let's discuss the key benefits of the Azure file. So one is the shared access. Now we learned that over the SMB protocol, we use the shared access of Azure files. So Azure file we can access by using portal as well as the shared access. And it is also compatibility with Windows OS, Mac, and Linux OS as well. Then one is the fully managed in the sense like you can use Windows File Explorer in the like because it is managed, and also easily you can seamlessly synchronize your local file system with your cloud. And also you have Azure Portal over there to manage it. So then we have a scripting and tooling. So we have a PowerShell commandlets and Azure CLIs to create, mount, and manage Azure file shares as part of the administrative work. And we have a resiliency. So this is one benefit, one more benefit of Azure files, where like if you are using your local file server for this purpose, then you have to maintain your infrastructure 24 hour into 7. So if power outrage is there, then you have to deal with it. So no one, you cannot blame anyone. So but if you are, since you are using the cloud service and using Azure files, so resiliency is better now here. So like you don't need to be worried about the power outrage or network issues. Then we have a familiar programmability. That means you can manage these Azure files by using PowerShell, by REST APIs, by .NET, by Azure CLIs, by Java. So there are so many approaches for developers as well as administrator to manage Azure files programmatically. So we have all options open for this. So this is a great platform to work on. So basically, when you are planning to migrate your file server or local infrastructure storage server to cloud, then I would suggest Azure file is the one of the best option among the few. So friends, that's all from this episode. In the next episode, we are going to discuss the third storage service, which is called queues. And this was a wonderful session, I think. Thank you for having a good time with us. Hope this episode helped you to make something amazing. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for staying with us.